Hi there, hope you're having a pleasant day wherever you may be. Today I find myself at the, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this, Ah-Shi-Sle-Pah Wilderness Area in northwestern New Mexico. The Ah-Shi-Sle-Pah Wilderness Area is located about 50 miles south of the town of Bloomfield in northwestern New Mexico. So what exactly is going on here? Well, this is a badland region, which is more or less kind of like a giant wash, really. You have these kind of mudstone cliffs here that are washed away and eroded by water over the years, and they leave you with some pretty cool geologic formations. Aside from the sort of rounded, muddy hills that you see here, the other dominant feature here are the hoodoos. There are tons and tons of hoodoos here. These ones behind me are the best example here, and it's great because they're the easiest ones to get to. You see them right from the trail from the parking lot. There's tons of others if you want to explore a little bit, and they're all pretty cool. They come in different shapes and sizes as you're walking around. But like I said, yeah, these are the best ones right here. For those of you that have been playing along at home, you probably realize that we have visited a couple of hoodoos like this in the past and talked about how they formed. But for those that have not, basically what happens is you have a hard layer of rock that's on top of a softer layer of rock. And eventually water and wind and things like that begin to eat away at the softer rock, leaving the top as sort of a capstone is what it's called, protecting it until eventually that gets eroded away and it tumbles down and no more hoodoo. But until that happens, you're left with some really, really cool rock formations. What's really cool is that as you're taking a look at the hoodoos, seeing them stand on their own is really awesome. But if you look at sort of, I guess you'd say, the parent rock, you can see that layer of rock that's creating the hoodoos, the harder one, just kind of waiting for its time to shine and waiting for that parent rock to erode and turn itself into some hoodoos. The rock in this area was laid down in about the Cretaceous period. So in addition to the geologic formations, you also have little pockets of things like petrified wood and even fossilized remains of animals if you know where to look. This is one of the examples of the petrified wood that you can find here. Now this is a fairly large stump, and in this immediate area there's a couple of other big pieces and a couple other big chunks and another stump not too far away. There's supposedly also some stumps with a little bit of the root system, but I couldn't find those. Even with the GPS coordinates, I couldn't find them. And also as you're walking along, sometimes you'll see a little field of small chunks, little pieces of petrified wood just kind of strewn about, so keep an eye out for those as well. Now once you get here, there really aren't any established trails at all. They're pretty much just all social trails. And as you explore, don't make the mistake I did where I kind of stayed up on the rim for the first like half hour, 45 minutes, which was kind of a challenge because there's a lot of gullies and things, so you're kind of going around and you're constantly kind of weaving back and forth to kind of go a very short distance. Go into the wash, get close to the hoodoos. It's flat down there for the most part, and not to mention you get better pictures. You're down there with everything, so yeah, just go straight down there to begin with. With that said, there's no trails down there. You just got to kind of find a good sort of little ditch to go down. I found one that was kind of easy that was a little further down just by accident. Once I made it down there, like I said, getting around was a lot easier because you're really not changing a whole lot in elevation. You're just kind of going over little piles of rocks and things like that, going around, stuff like that. And like I said, there's so many hoodoos, you know, go until you get your fill. The one thing is it's kind of disorienting down there. Everything kind of looks different but the same at the same time, so it's kind of easy to get lost. I got disoriented a couple of times coming back from the petrified wood. I mean, I found my way, but I took a couple wrong turns. As far as visiting here, like I said, it's about 50 miles south of Bloomfield, off of US 550. And the last 10 miles or so are kind of on a dirt road, depending on which way Google sends you. The way I went took me on some small ones that were pretty well graded, so it wasn't too bad of a ride. There's a little parking area which leads to about a, I don't know, half-mile walk on relatively flat, and that trail kind of drops you off about right here where you get a really great view of the first set of hoodoos. And like I said, there's no trails here. It's all just kind of wandering at your own discretion. There's a few social trails that you can follow that might lead you to good or bad places, But yeah, just kind of choose your own adventure and be careful as you do it. Now, in my research, I came across a guy that he posted some sort of very kind of rudimentary maps of sort of quote unquote trails, which even he says they're really not trails, but they kind of get you in the right direction with some landmarks and things like that. And in addition to that, he also included the GPS coordinates of said landmarks. So for for a couple of them, what I did was I put them in when I had service. Service is really spotty here, even more so down by the Hoodoos. And I just kind of walked in the general direction until I got close, and then I can kind of figure out where it was from there. So very helpful. I'll include the link in the description below to that guy's website. As you're exploring, you can spend, an hour or two here and just kind of enjoy the close hoodoos and things like that. And, it's well worth the time. If you want to explore a little further, like to get to the tree stump, it took me about an hour of not like fast-paced walking to get there. I was kind of moseying along. And saw plenty of hoodoos and things like that, and then was kind of satisfied when I saw the tree stump. A little bummed I didn't find the one with the roots though. That that website mentioned that it's about 2.8 miles round trip for that one. There's another trail in this direction, loose trail, that's about 3 miles. I wasn't able to do that one. Which brings me to the next point, is that you are in the New Mexico sort of, I don't think it's technically a desert, but it's kind of desert conditions. I'm sure it gets really hot out here. Probably best to do this in the morning. And today's actually really nice, even though it's midday, but I'm sure as the summer gets going, it's probably pretty unbearable out here. And since it's a dirt road to get here, and then once you are here, you're going to be primarily walking around a wash, I think it goes without saying that don't do this in wet conditions. Don't do this if there's storms nearby, just in case, just be smart. Unfortunately, with no infrastructure here, that means no kiosks, no pamphlets, no nothing. So it'd have been nice to have a little bit of information. Online, it felt like I kept kind of seeing the same information over and over and over about the Cretaceous and things like that. Some with slightly more details than others, but not much more. So it would have been nice to get a little bit more, but, what can you do? Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for joining me on this trip to the Ah-Shi-Sle-Pah Wilderness Area. I hope you found it interesting, hope you found it informative, and maybe it encourages you to come check it out yourself. With that said, I guess I'll see you on the next one.